Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Mark Marex, Product Development Specialist with Nasdaq Index Research, to discuss ESG innovation in the world of indexing. Mark, let's take a look at our first chart here. The performance looks pretty remarkable this year.
Yeah, thought I would give folks a quick recap of at least some of the higher profile ESG related thematic indexes within NASDAQ. We've talked about CELS before. That's the Clean Edge Green Energy Index that we launched with a product partner a few years ago. Just an outstanding year. I mean, up 165% as of yesterday's close. That's generating a lot of kind of interest both internally and externally about, maybe launching some spin-off products off of that. The other products listed here, you've got QGRD, which is the NASDAQ OMX Clean Edge Smart Grid Infrastructure Index. You've got NQFGSL, which is the NASDAQ Future Global Sustainability Leaders. HHO, which is the ICE Water Index. GWE, which is the ICE Global Wind Energy Index. And then Q Green doesn't have a product tracking it, but it's sort of like the general green economy benchmark index that a lot of these other ESG related indexes kind of branch off of. So you can see that, really there's not a bad performer year to date for this bunch. HHO, the water one, is kind of the most underwhelming. Still up 20% though, still beating the S&P, still beating the Russell 2000, the Dow Jones, all the other big time market benchmarks.
And if we take a look at our next slide here, assets under management seem to be following suit along with the performance.
Yeah, so this kind of gives you a different view, right? Obviously, we know performance has been great, and you've got Q Clean, which is the product tracking from First Trust that sells Clean Edge Green Energy Index. Just extraordinary, right? Up more than 10 times, almost 11 times the AUM that it started the year at. Then you've got ETHI, which is tracking that Future Global Sustainability Leaders Index. ETHI is an Australian product from Beta Shares, also having a very strong year, up 110%. Then you've got, Grid and FAN, Grid being the smart grid infrastructure kind of, as you would expect, tracking product, and FAN is the Global Wind Energy Index Fund. Both of those are up almost 300% in terms of AUM. And then again, rounding things out is the ICE Water Index Fund from First Trust. That one's up only 24%. Water not getting quite as much attention as an ESG theme or as an ESG, subsector, but still, having a very good year overall.
And Mark, finally, what's next for the index team? What are some of the innovative products you're working on for next year?
Yeah, I mean, look, the AUM that we've seen accrue to these products, you've got almost $2 billion now in that First Trust Clean Edge Green Energy Index Fund. You've got over $1 billion in that Beta Shares Global Sustainability Leaders Fund. The rest of these are, at least 100 million. There's a lot of client interest in launching, either international or emerging market kind of spin-off versions of some of these. And generally speaking, NASDAQ, I think, as a company, is very committed to ESG, from a sort of top-down level, right? And where index fits into that is being able to make sure we meet client demand for launching more products around ESG specifically. I think the goal right now is to launch, as many as potentially 5 new ESG indexes next year. That could be anything from an ESG version of the NASDAQ 100 to, again, something a little bit more niche, maybe like an EM version of that Clean Edge Green Energy Fund. So stay tuned. It should be definitely, a solid area of focus for next year, given all the attention that people have had around it this year, given the performance, given the inflows, certainly part of the outlook for next year at or near the top of the list for us.
That's awesome. And we look forward to covering that in 2021. Mark, thanks for all the work this year. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.